congratulations on a beautiful project and really a beautiful collaboration. I think that's as profound as the actual film itself. And we're here today to talk about War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko, and the short film that is a result of that. The short film that is now on the Oscar shortlist for Best Animated Short this year. So congratulations. Why don't we go down the row? Sean, we'll start with you. We'll give give yourself an introduction.
Hi, I'm Sean Lennon, and I'm the son of John and Yoko. And I kind of had the idea of trying to make a film for the song Happy Christmas, War is Over. And the result has been an amazing journey on which I met these people here, these fine folk.
Fine folks. Brad.
I'm Brad Booker. I am co-founder of ElectroLeague, producer of War is Over, and friends to these fine gentlemen.
I'm Dave Mullins. Hello, people. I am also with ElectroLeague, and I was the writer and director on this film.
Thomas Newman. I wrote the score, I guess, obviously not the song, but all the other music written by me.
A lot of music, a lot of harmony in this discussion is what I'm hoping for. But let's start, at the start. Maybe not the 50-year ago start, or maybe we can start there. But maybe, Sean, that's a question for you to just kick this conversation off with how you all came together, and we'll go from there.
Well, a mutual friend introduced me to Dave, and I had the idea that I wanted to do something more original with maybe a narrative, more like a short film for Happy Christmas, War is Over, because I had been asked to do a conventional music video for that song, and I felt that maybe wasn't so interesting to see a song that we already knew, just with some imagery accompanying it. So I was interested in doing something with a narrative, and I met Dave, and I was actually a fan of Lou, his short film, and so I thought, wow, this guy really knows how to write and execute. So we started talking, and after our first meeting, we'd already come up with most of the story for the film, so we really had a creative connection. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, it was a hard process after that, but we really did do a lot of inspired work that first day, so we knew we were onto something.
I think it probably took that initial spark, because I don't know if you immediately thinks War is Over, oh, I know, an animated short film about, especially if it kind of naturally, maybe in a lazy way, wants to be a music video, but to turn it into a narrative. And then over to you, Dave.
Oh, yeah. And, it was funny because it was sort of presented to me that you were looking for somebody to do a music video, and, I'm more of a narrative storyteller. But, it's the song, and it's you and your parents, and it was such a relief, I think, when we sat in the room, because I think I came with like a music video idea with some imagery and stuff, and immediately you're like, oh, I don't want to do music video. I'm like, whew, okay. And then we just started talking, and it was like you said, like in the first meeting or two, we'd really gotten to the core of what we wanted to do with this film, and it's been great, because I think that original idea was so strong that we were able to just continue to build and build over the course of the film and make the film what it is. So,
could you talk a little bit about, here's this famous song, the most famous song, and the legacy and everything, and were you intimidated to meet with Sean? What did that feel like initially?
Yeah, I mean the songs, and I mean I don't.
I'm very intimidated.
Yeah,
most people cower in my presence.
But as you get to know each other,
No, I was more intimidated about what the song meant to people, and it's just the type of thing where it's the same for you. I think it's the same for all of us here, is that you want to do right by this song, and you actually told me a lot about the song that I didn't know, and just the way your parents made it into this perennial thing, and it's so clever the way it's done. And so I think I got more nervous after we met, because once we had the conversation about the song, it really kind of dawned on me, like, oh man, this is a really big deal.
And if you think Dave was nervous, I was especially nervous, because for me, my parents are sort of monolithic. I mean, they're not just, John and Yoko, the musicians, but they're my mom and dad. So I have so much love and adoration, and I want to sort of do good by their art. So I had the pressure too, to be honest, And so there were points in this film where I was just like, my gosh, what have I done? Because we were struggling with things like how the music was going to be. And then Thomas came in and basically completely blew our minds and saved the whole thing. So there were a lot of moments where
That's
I
what I
was
did is
terrified of not living up to the music as well.
Yeah.
So there was pressure on all of us, I would say, but it was also just really fun because, you know, there was an abundance of good ideas and talent, and, you know, it just felt like a real pleasure to be a part of it for me.
It's really hard, I think, you know, watching the film over and over again to sort of extract one thing and talk about it in isolation, because all of these things, well, on any good film, all have to work together, but this is just so unique. The timing of it, the style of animation, the look of it, which is this natural treatment in a way, but these beautiful designs. And you've said this is, you know, what this means for you for animation, and then, you know, you're bringing Thomas in, and it's your first collaboration and your first short film. Is that right?
I think so.
It's about time.
You finally made it, buddy. You finally made it.
Done, right? High fives all around. So, yeah, I mean, why don't we just kind of fast forward into talking a little bit about, you know, we'll have a good mashup here, about when you came in and what that was like, and did you feel that burden of legacy at all?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, can you talk about
I mean,
that?
it builds also the spirit, not the spirit of the song and the time of the song, and you know, cut to, is it 50 years? Was it 1973
I think
or
last year.
71? So yeah, there was this whole, you know, the idea was that the song had to work. I mean, and the song was coming at the end of this thing. And how could you support the story and at the same time allow for the song stylistically? I think that was the big challenge. And of course, meeting Brad and Dave and just getting to know them in a short period of time, because I think there was a small window we had.
Like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah. And so, but oftentimes that's great to just come in and you kind of cut away all the kind of who knows into the, like, I better get something happening quickly.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, sometimes it works out, and it's always great when it does. It's
Well,
not so great when
Dave,
it
kind
doesn't.
of, you have told the story that, you know, oh, we want to get Thomas Newman. That would be amazing. There's no way that's going to happen, and it happens like that, though.
Yeah.
Because you're a busy person, you know.
Well, I mean, being at Pixar for like 20 years, and you know, we had met. I still have. With the first time we met, you came on for Nemo, and I had the 6 Feet Under score, and you were nice enough to. Everybody knew I was a huge fan, and you were going around meeting everybody, and you were nice enough to sign. I still have it up on the wall, but you know, I think that yeah, as far as us kind of working together in the song is really crazy, because it's the whole reason why we all are doing this, but it ended up actually being the biggest problem on the film.
And how's that?
Well,
Matter of style, right? I mean, just like how do you make it congruous stylistically?
yeah, and you know, we had a lot of conversations about, do we, with the score, do we try and echo the song? And you know, you had very strong feelings about that right off the bat. You're like, no, just let it, like, we're going to do the score, and the song's going to be the song. And do you want to talk about
Well,
that?
I mean, you always wonder, okay, there's, you know, what's the style of a song, what's the instrumentation of a song, and should that relate to the color and instrumentation of a score? And typically, experientially, the answer is no. You don't, because that becomes precious and it becomes kind of a foregone idea, as opposed to, you know, what is the content of the story and the style of the animation, etc. And then you just, you know, you kind of find your way by eliminating, and I guess I call it like allowable vocabulary. After a while, you put music up against image and you see if it works, and you ask yourself why, and then you kind of build on those very basic things in a very pragmatic way.
Yeah.
For me.
Well,
No, go. I don't
know,
want to
was
stop
just
this.
I was going to say, because the first time we met here and we were hearing the score, it wasn't even really score yet. It was like a sketch, like a musical sketch that you put against picture. And you know, we were talking about this earlier, where it's just like, that was so informative, because we were able to you very quickly kind of put this idea up that was really about emotion. We had that conversation right off the bat, and I feel like we honed it in really quickly from that, because there's things that were important to you, there was things that were important to us.
Right, and then you want to do it early enough so that I'm not defending ideas and you're kind of digging your heels because I'm pushing them at you. So I mean, that's the nature of how 2 people can, 3 people, 4 people can collaborate, is if I put forth an idea and say, what do you think? And you feel like room to say, I like this, but can it change here? Then you make quicker work of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
The other thing I think was important was we needed to get to a certain place before we came to you, because we had to struggle through it a little bit and have that fear of this isn't working and move things around and go through the iterations. The other thing with animation is it's tough for people to see animation early on. That you know, seeing how the sausage is made is not, you know, it's not a
It's the same
beautiful
with music, though. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
There's nothing
So-
worse than like not, you know, having unfinished sketches and praying that someone gets the notion of what something is as opposed to a finished thing.
If we would have shown you the version that Sean saw that gave him nightmares for
I wasn't ready
3
for the
weeks
process of CGI animation because I make demos in music all the time, or I've seen sketches for hand-drawn animation, but seeing the sketches for a CGI was very disturbing because they don't have
You
any.
never saw this version.
Yeah,
that
it's
he's
like
talking
it's
about.
essentially kind of naked stick figures with one face and no expression, and they're all kind of blocking out the narrative. But I mean, we're looking at 8 naked dudes with one
Or
face,
more, yeah,
with no
yeah.
expression,
All
kind
the
of
same guy,
kind
too.
of bumping into each other, and I'm like, what did I do? Like, are these guys insane? Like, why am I working
where
with these
trust
dudes?
comes in.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like with Brad and I, we so that's like the raw. That was sort of like the motion performance capture that we got, and we only had one model, so it was all Winston, and he had no clothes, so he's like and
So
they
disturbing, and no
flesh color-
hair.
and no hair, and they flesh colored.
Really
There's no
weird, man.
expressions. There's no hands, and like Brad and I look at it and we go, "Oh yeah, we just see it like 10 steps ahead just because we've been in
Yeah.
animation for so many."
I was
years.
terrified.
And you were like, the look on your face was like,
I know.
"What the hell are you guys doing?"
And the first time Winston threw up Icarus to fly, he just thud, like hit the ground like a football. I'm
Yeah,
like, can't you
'cause
just make it go up in the air? But it's like, apparently you can't. Anyway, I'm ready for the next one, and I'll be
You're
prepared.
prepared,
But
yeah.
the
Right.
first
Right.
time I saw
Maybe don't
this
show
thing-
mom this one, though,
Yeah,
right?
it was
Like
wild.
this version.
It was
show her
wild.
the finished version.
One day we have to release it as like a David Lynch side
Yeah.
project, an art project, because it was very,
With
very,
warning labels, right?
very edgy. Yeah,
That
Very
was the
edgy.
funniest shot because for Icarus, who was the bird,
Yeah.
we had like a little football with like a bird head taped on it with like dots on it,
And
and
he
like
throws it
literally, like Kevin went to throw the bird and it just goes, thunk, like that.
And that was in the
So
storyboard.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But so yes, I know music demos can be nerve-wracking because people don't get it, but CGI is way more intense. You have to sort of like completely ignore what you're looking at and
Yeah.
only look for blocking, I guess, or whatever you're seeing.
Right.
But
And as much as you're told,
Yeah.
you still see it,
can't.
hear it, and you think, this is wrong.
100%.
Even though you're being calm and saying, trust me, this will improve.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
Well, it's a part of the process to really protect, right? And if you're responsible for the story, and you're trusting in your collaboration,
Yeah.
but of course, like I think there's doubts throughout anyway, right? Because you can't see it objectively anymore. But
Oh, yeah.
that was a big part of also the story process and proving, because the story changed quite a bit from the beginning to, and this is about not only the legacy of this
Yeah.
amazing, famous song, but of war. And I like the way that you usually phrase about this isn't about a war,
Yeah.
right? So let's talk a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we wanted this to be, and for all of us here, we wanted this to be a statement about war, not a specific war. And so, because we came up with this idea of the chess game as a metaphor for war, that the soldiers were pawns in a war, and how would two opposing sides start to play this game of chess, which humanizes them. We kind of bring people up out of the hell of war and into this warm tent where they sort of connect. But to do that, we came up with this idea of the carrier pigeon that would carry it back and forth. So we had to place it in the sort of World War One. And that was like the way that the story changed is even when I first wrote the script and we were talking about the story, we didn't even have them fighting how much can I say? We didn't have them fighting at the end of the film, and we get it up on reels. We see all the naked Winstons running around, and right away once it's on reels, like, oh man, the third act isn't working, and we did a lot of work to kind of
we were very lucky to have a small brain trust of trusted colleagues that we've worked with over the years that come in and see it fresh, and they very quickly point out the things that aren't working that we're numb to because we've seen it 100 times on repeat. So that was a very important part of the process, just like you guys have experienced at Pixar and other places. It's so important to have people come in and see it with fresh eyes and kind of weigh in on those things that aren't working.
That was our Christmas 2022 is like, you know, we were working with Weta. Weta had to pull everybody onto Avatar 2 and off our little project, our specials project. And we all knew that the story needed to be better. And then our Christmas was basically like redrawing, like reworking, rewriting. When everybody got back from their holiday break, we're like, so here's the film, and we had like a new version of the third act, and everybody's like, wait, what? And but it is the film that it is today, and
It had to happen.
it had to happen, and it's like probably, I mean, you guys could probably speak to this better as far as writing music and composing is concerned, but it's an iterative thing, and you need to have a little bit of space to come up with, I think you were talking about the idea of engineering or budgeting in errors?
Failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this notion that if there's a conceit that I should know, and that therefore if I know, everything should roll out correctly. But my thought was always, you know, you don't know, and you want to learn that you don't know early enough on to do a course correction. And that becomes valuable not only to me but to you, so that like when we're at the end of the project, you don't say, you know, I doubt that you're doing this correctly. So it's a survival skill. It's just how can you have the least amount of pain?
Yeah.
Fail
I think from the
early and iterate often.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, it can look, obviously when the film is done and done so well, it can look tidy, and there's nothing tidy about this. And I think, you know, this
More like a bloodbath.
well, you know, yeah. So a reflection of, you know, in real life, but there's so much new in this. It's a new collaboration, the first time collaboration for all of you. Each relationship quite different. A new technology, you know, a new way of even doing production, right? Weta is not in the West Coast. John, you're in New York. You're in the West Coast. You're here. You know, so a lot of new went into this, and so then therefore a lot of question marks. So, like, how do you mitigate that unknown? I guess I'm asking you, Brett, as the producer.
It's just part of the process. Like, you just do it. You know, Weta was on a different clock than we were, but we just figured it out, and you build your schedule and process around, you know, what the challenges are. But look, when you have a song as beautiful as Sean's Parents' song, it just, people rally around it. Like, I think we've seen that in our earlier careers. The amazing projects always have that central thing that just people, you know, want to rally around and kill themselves to make something beautiful in response to the very thing that is motivating. And so, yeah.
And also the story, I think, was so good. I mean, when we first showed it to Peter, you know, the song in itself wouldn't have been enough for him to want to do it. I think it was, he really did like the character of Icarus and, you know, the drama of it. And I think that there was more than just a great song. There was also a really good kernel of an idea. And so it really did seem like it magnetized a lot of talent in terms of getting Weta to do all that work for us. I mean, that was kind of a miracle, to be honest, you know, because they, as Dave said, you know, they were in the middle of Avatar. So to do our little
indie film,
short film was really a labor of love. And it was because Peter was cool enough to check out our little project. So it's kind of the way we got Thomas. I mean, you know, he's doing serious movies all the time. Yeah, and
not like this comedy we just did.
And I'm sure, you know, not to speak for you, but I'm sure you wouldn't have done it if the project wasn't, you know, didn't have that core kind of quality to it. So I think we were lucky in that it was good and it attracted really talented people. So it felt like the stars aligned or something.
Yeah. Along the way, you really all respected that and your process. And then again, I just go back to respecting the collaboration, because then you want to bring your best work always. But when you're really, you know, working with people that you really respect, and it feeds itself, right? That collaboration.
Absolutely.
You want to talk a little bit more about Peter coming in and Weta coming in, and, you know, it's kind of jump ball. Who wants to take that one?
Well, I had just met Peter through the Get Back film, the documentary he had done for the Beatles. And, you know, I was lucky enough to have like his email, and we'd been talking a little bit about, you know, that film, getting that film done. And so that also coincided with me meeting Brad and Dave. And so I just went out on a limb. I was like, hey, can you give me advice on this project? And I sent him the script, and he liked it. It was just luck,
Just as a sidebar, like I remember you going shoof on your phone and made that little swoosh sound, and my heart just went down into my feet because I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. But I honestly had a feeling he was gonna like it. I did, because I said to you guys, I was like, what should I just try? And we were like, well, it can't hurt, try. But I had a feeling he was gonna like it because he is famous for being an expert on war battles, and
especially
stuff.
World War
Yeah,
One.
so
like
I
he's
knew it
done
was
a whole
subject.
documentary.
Yeah, exactly. It was a subject. And in fact, like when I was meeting with him, this is sort of on the side, even about Get Back stuff, he would often be working on like toy soldiers, like painting them and recreating different battles while he's on like a Zoom meeting. So he definitely likes the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's nothing more serious, about, we keep saying, the name of the song and the title of the film, and war is over, and I think we get sort of like immune or something to that actual word, but the opening shot, you immediately see the blood. You immediately see the brutality, and the horror. Yeah. And you didn't shy away from any of that in the filmmaking, it seems, right?
We couldn't. And, it's funny, in our first meeting with Peter, one of the things he asked me, he's like, it's tough. I have to be careful about giving too much away. There's a tough thing in the film, and are you sure that's the right thing to do? And
you sure you want to go there?
Sure you want to go there. And I was very passionate about saying, well, this is the whole purpose of this film, is this is an anti-war message that your parents were putting out, and if you gloss over that, if you lighten it up too much, it just doesn't have the same impact. And we wanted people to feel the impact of what this meant and what it means to us. I mean, we're all pretty staunchly anti-war, believers, and I think we think there's a lot of ways of around conflict than just going that path. So for us, it was important to show that the sort of the bloodiness, the cruelty of it, and we ultimately, I think, end on a hopeful message in the film. But if you didn't go there, it would just feel cheap, I think, in some way. And we all felt that.
You can't have an anti-war film that has no stakes.
Exactly.
Right.
Because otherwise it's just,
Yeah.
And to frame it, like when Peter got involved, like when we first met Sean, the war in Ukraine hadn't broken out yet. It was building, and you could kind of feel it, and it made everything we were talking about more real. But, I think it broke out in January or February of 21, and we met with Peter. He read the script and loved it, and literally we were with Sean in Northern California and woke up the next morning to a text message like, I love this. I want to be on a Zoom call with you guys tomorrow, which was Saturday, and we did a 2-hour Zoom call. But to frame it time-wise, the war had been going on for 2 weeks. So, I think Peter wanted to do it for all the other reasons, but, I remember him very clearly saying, like, this is a beautiful message that John and Yoko did 50 years ago, but it's never more timely than it is right this second. Mm-hmm. So I think he wanted to do it for a lot of other reasons, but for that reason, he couldn't not do it, is what it felt like to us. So
sometimes the universe
like
conspires, right?
Yeah.
All these things kind of came together and led to, again, the collaboration of all of this at the right moment. But, at a very interesting moment, wish there wasn't the existence of this in the world.
I think you said it. It's on this project, it's like lightning struck the same tree about 6 different times, I think.
Yeah, we kept on, we had so many moments of, the first moment being us just getting together, and this idea is like, really, like, our collaboration on that was, it's kind of rare, just like we connected so quickly, so fast, and came up with the story so quickly. And then Peter's involvement, like getting you, like from day one, I always knew, that was the dream. And like, that's a crazy dream, and crazy dream. And through friends, we met you and were able to show you the film, because it's actually hard to get in touch with somebody like you. To get a film in front of you, that's a big ask. Right. And the fact that you were willing to do that, and
pretty immediately too, but
like in days, it was
I was told you have to.
I was going to say, it's a testament to your relationship with your agent Michael, because he was like, he's going to do this. It's not a question.
Wow.
But I have to
He
show it
was
to
very
him.
serious.
I have to show it to him first. He was that sure
Wow.
that you would really want to
He
do
was.
it.
He loved it.
And
He
then
just
when you
loved
saw it, it was like an immediate,
We'll talk
like
about a little bit more about that receptivity to, strangers, but, it comes through your manager. And,
Well, you kind of ride the wave that is coming towards the shore, and there it was, and there was a window of time that I was available, and it was just like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's like meet in a couple of days and get into it and try to push forward. So it was fortuitous, I think, time-wise.
What more, and this is a question for you, but anyone, please contribute. We should talk a little bit about the look of the film. It's so beautiful. It's so rich. I feel like, David, so you have this painter background, you respect that, hand-drawn image, and you've mentioned this as your bit of a love letter to animation, the way this kind of came together.
2D,
and of course the story is going to inspire you and inform you. Yeah, can you extract the look from that? Did the look come into that?
In terms of what music would be.
Just you.
Yeah.
Like you're responding to
you
something.
like I say, you look at something, you put up ideas, and you see if the ideas have some relationship with the image. And but the image always guides. I was saying to Sean too. I mean, I put ideas out without much thought, and then I just try to look and listen back and see if I react in a way that interests me or compels me or makes me lean into the storytelling, and it was just step by step, I think, in terms of finding the vocabulary.
And having that ticking clock too, since this was on a bit of a tight schedule, does that inform things?
Oh, it does.
Like, you're in.
Yeah, you get serious quick, and you because a lot of times I think creatively you can say, well, I'm not sure what I am and what I should be in this kind of environment, but if you have a week, you answer those questions pretty quick.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, because the first time you listen to a score and you hear it, it's like the score is, especially with a film with no dialogue, it's 50% of your experience.
Yeah,
And yes, we
more
have
so
sound, of
maybe.
course, which is a huge part of that, but the score is really the emotional voice of our characters for the film. And you'll listen to temp music. I think a lot of directors go through this. You listen to temp music, you're used to the temp music. Now, in my head, some of your music was the temp music, so that was really helpful. But you hear it for the first time, and you have to immediately deprogram a year and a half of programming.
Yeah, it's shocking, right?
Yeah,
it's
and
really shocking.
And I remember the feeling because I was like, okay, shut up. Like telling my brain to shut up for a minute and actually listen. And then you get past that experience very quickly and go, okay, this is what this film's going to be, what it's becoming. Because like the thing that we were talking about with the third act where we had to rewrite it and we knew emotionally we weren't feeling it and we had to rewrite and rework it. It's the same thing with the score. It's like you have to listen to what the film wants to be, and that's because when you have great collaborators that are the best at what they do, you need to listen to that. And it's like, what does the film want to be? What are your collaborators trying to tell you? And how do you, my point of view, yes, I have my opinions on it, but you have to open it up enough to allow these great ideas in, and you brought so many great ideas to it.
But I think it's true. I think really good directors, there's like a moment where you just have to like it. I don't know what I think of this, but I think I like it, and that you just have to hope that door opens or closes, as opposed to saying no. This makes me uncomfortable, and I can't accept it because of this year and a half I've been living with something. But I think the best directors are always going to say, I want to tilt towards my next step moving forward, as opposed to I'm too afraid to do that.
Being
So it's
attached
a
to the
real
past.
moment of leadership, I think, to say, I believe in this enough to get over my utter terror that it's the wrong choice.
Did I do that?
No, you
Whoa, hesitation.
but no, you bore down, you shouldered in a little bit, but
no.
but I don't mean that in any kind of awful way. Just because you have to come to terms with what you think versus what you're faced with.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you're open enough to say yes, keep going, and then the shock of the new wears off, and suddenly it's not so like shockingly new, and you go, wow, okay, I see this and I relate to it, but can you change it here? We had issues along the way of underlining things or where transitions took place, all that kind of stuff. So it's a measure of people skills, which is how much do we trust each other, whether we do or don't.
Right. Yeah.
How much do we say we do?
It's a very vulnerable situation.
It
Sure.
is. Yeah, and you cross your fingers, and you think there's always time to reject. So why
around the
reject
block.
now?
Well, it goes to each of you have your own unique language, right? Musician language and artist language, a producer artist language, animated director, artist language, and a musical language, but there's commonalities to that, though you have to sort of educate each other on that language, right?
And we always assume that we're reacting in the same way, right?
Yeah.
Here is how we all react,
Yeah.
you know? So the idea is like, this really touches me, and you say, I'm unmoved.
Yeah.
And you think, shoot, really? I
Yeah.
think this is
How is
so,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where the negotiation takes place. And you say, okay, well, maybe you're right. And then I change something, and I like it despite it not being an original idea. And you just kind of, you stumble forward.
Yeah.
I love the medium of the short film, and especially in animation. I think it's such a great place to innovate, try something maybe fast, maybe under the pressure cooker, maybe it takes a little longer, but either way, it's a unique experience than any other. So now you've entered into that hall of possible fame. Like, how do you see that medium? How do you see shorts? How do you see animated shorts? Maybe Dave, you can start. You know, that this is your second one.
Yeah. You know, films are incredibly hard for everybody that works on them, and I think that I have seen there's some people that are just naturally talented and they're born into it and they're great at it and they're great at it for their whole career. I mean, that's like a 5-leaf clover. And then there's the rest of us who have to, I mean this like inclusively, that have to work really hard. And I think all of us here have done this really hard to hone our skills. And for me, as a director and writer, having worked in a couple short formats, like for me, I wanted to find my voice in that place first. I think the desire is like, oh, I want to go do I have an idea and I want to do a film right now. I want to direct a film. And I have to be honest, I feel like a lot of times when it's like right out of the bat and you haven't done it before and you haven't had your swings at bat yet, those are the films that kind of get in the most trouble at times. I'm not saying that for everybody, but for me and what I wanted to do, having a couple of swings at the bat like this really allowed me to find my voice, find incredible people that I could partner with. And now I feel like I'm ready for larger things. So, but without going through, because I don't care if you're a student and you're doing a student film, it is hell making your first film. And then it's almost even worse at sometimes making your second. And so every time the film is just this big thing, you have to manage how you interact with people. You know, you want everybody to feel involved and important. So I think the short subject is really great for people that are trying to find their voice and not bite off too much before they're ready for it. And so at least that's my thoughts on it. That's why it's important to me. But
I remember when I was watching the early Pixar films, there used to be a couple shorts like before each film.
Yep.
And you know, I feel like as a format, you know, not just as a preparation to one day make a feature film, there's something really unique about the short, as you were saying, that it's like an opportunity to try things differently, but it's like it condenses whatever the narrative is in such a way that there has to be like a really good core idea, or else it's like horrible to watch. Like the famous Pixar one with the lamp, it's just such a cool little concept.
Junior,
It's
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, and I've always been a really big fan of that. So frankly, like from my perspective, I was just like, wow, it's so exciting to like get to be in on the process of making an animated short, because sometimes those shorts that open up, you know, feature animations are like more interesting than the actual
You could
film.
take some risks
Yeah,
there.
so I actually am a
and-
big fan of the format, you know.
So we've converted you over to, no, you were already an animation fan, but this
I was a big fan,
Yeah,
yeah.
so how are you thinking about animation moving forward?
I don't know. I mean, I actually did a hand-drawn animation. This is another subject for a video for a song of mine called Would I Be the One? So I've always been interested in doing animation, but, you know, part of this whole project for me, I was kind of jokingly telling people like my girlfriend that it's really just an excuse for me to like hang out with these guys and learn how to make animation, because it's really fun to learn new things, you know.
Yeah, I think we can find some more reasons too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But no,
after
but it
this
has been really a
collaboration.
treat for me, and also with the score too, because as a musician, you know, I haven't done a lot of like film score work, but I do have a lot of like feelings and opinions when I hear stuff. So I was really struggling with wanting it to just be perfect, and there was definitely a lot of temp music that went back and forth that I was like worried about just intuitively. And as soon as Thomas's stuff came through, I was just like, okay, I'm not worried anymore. And that is sort of like a miracle, you
Yes.
know.
Pretty nice. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it was
great.
amazing.
Can you say that again?
I want to make sure we
It's
capture that
100%
one.
true, man.
It
It all
did
came
kind
together.
of unlocked everything, and
It
it just
completely
everything
unlocked the film.
clicked into place.
And we
for
have
sure.
to remember most of the film is your score, so that was
Yeah.
a big chunk of the
Yeah.
film. I mean, we were knowing finally by that point that when Happy Christmas drops and Icarus, that scene, which I won't explain, comes, we knew that was working, but then most of the film still didn't
Yeah.
have music we liked. So there was a lot of, it was a lot of fear and
Yeah,
uncertainty.
brave on all counts.
I would
a
say
lot of
after
fun.
after our first meeting, probably after the first meeting, I actually started sleeping again because I was like, oh man, we were in such good hands here, and
Yeah.
the way that you presented your ideas and the way that you were speaking for the film. I mean, you remember? I mean, I was a
No,
mess.
that's not an
It's
exaggeration.
not
No.
exaggeration. I literally after our first meeting, I was actually able to sleep.
Because we knew it would make or break.
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole
film.
thing about music being outside your aegis and yet utterly essential and therefore terrifying, right? And I think it terrifies directors in general, just
Yeah.
because you lose control. And what do you say if you like a piece 70%? You don't like 30 of it. How do you communicate that?
But you're great. I mean, look, you made me feel when we were working together, you made me feel incredibly comfortable to just like speak what I thought. And I felt like there was a healthy back and forth. You had very clear ideas. I had some ideas. And in these meetings here, working with you and your team and the ideas you're presenting, to me, it was like the most fun on the project because in a way it's like, directing up to this point, everything's kind of in my control to a
Right.
certain point, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But I get here and it's just like, here's my 6-month-old baby, please take care of it.
I know, I get it. It's got to be hard to be a director and to say I don't like this. I would tell students and stuff. Imagine being a director, and what do you say?
Did
You
I
don't
say I
like-
didn't like something of yours?
I'm just saying in general. It's got to be a harder gig, and for a composer, you just think, okay, it's hard enough for me, and you're shock of the new and all this stuff, but it's got to be hard for you.
I think the way to deal with that, and you probably do this when you're recording your scores and you're with your orchestra. If you are the type of person that is generous, and when things are going well and people are doing a great job, and you're generous with that feedback, when you give the hard feedback, which has to happen to create anything, people feel safer that you're not trying to tear them down. And so for me, I want to make sure the crew is comfortable enough that they can speak their mind.
Right.
I may disagree with them, but that
They have to believe you, by the way, when you say that, because
Yes.
oftentimes people say it and they don't really mean
You
it.
guys can say whatever you want. Shut the,
You're fired.
Shut the front door. Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah.
But you made me feel that way when I was here because I felt like I was safe with you. And, and that's it's very emotionally whatever, but it's important, and man, what a great experience. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, maybe just to wrap it up, and Sean, I think this is a question for you though. Like, what is your hope for this film now?
Am I allowed to say what my hope is? I don't know. There's all these rules around it.
Okay, maybe zoom out a little more from that, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
again,
my-
talking about the passage of time and these collaborations, and now you have
Right.
this, and
Well, in the last couple of years, I've sort of been given the responsibility to sort of be a custodian of my parents' music and work. And so my hope overall was to, make good decisions and try new things and not just sort of, reiterate tropes from the past, while also being giving honor and being careful with their art. So, this was a big experiment from my perspective, and I feel like it's been incredibly rewarding, and I'm very proud of it because I do think, not to overblow it, but I don't really think there's anything like this. I mean, I've never seen a catalog artist come out with a song that was a musical companion film to a song that was actually a short film. I don't think anyone's done that. So it's a completely original kind of project. And I'm proud of the fact that it has turned out so well, that the people who wanted to help us with it are so talented and did such a great job. So I feel very proud of that fact. And, I hope people like it. And, the dream would be specifically for this project that maybe people tend to watch it around the holidays. I mean, that would be the most ideal, thing. But I've already, my expectations have been sort of blown away already with it. The degree to which the film works as a piece of art, and then also the degree to which people seem to be loving it have already exceeded my expectations. So, I'm pretty happy already, to be honest.
Awesome. Well said. Well, thanks everyone, and congratulations again. It's just such an incredible moment in time, I think, and incredible work with incredible people.